Thanks so much for watching. This episode may ask you to suspend your doubt and even some fear, as my guest and I discuss concepts that range beyond ordinary daily topics. Yet what we discuss is becoming increasingly talked about, and I hope our conversation will bring something of value to you. Maybe a new idea, a fresh perspective, peace of mind, encouragement, or maybe just a new level of curiosity. My guest is Sheri Perbeck, angel communicator, medium, healer, and spiritual teacher, and one of the co-hosts of the podcast Deb, Bowen and Friends, Quest for Connection. Sheri grew up in the countryside of Connecticut and recognizes that the start of her spiritual growth began with the influence and guidance of her father, Louis Franklin Ledoux. Through the loving energy of him, she was taught compassion, love, understanding, and to remain lighthearted in all situations. He knew Sheri had a God-given gift and would someday be on the path to help make a difference in other people's lives. Her true spiritual awakening came over a decade ago when her father, at 57, passed away from cancer within 3 weeks of diagnosis. The loss profoundly affected her, but also launched her into a positive direction in her career. Within a couple months of his passing, she met healers, mediums, and psychics who inadvertently helped become mentors that would mold her intuitive abilities and shaped her future as a psychic reader and energy worker. 2 years after her father's passing, Sheri attended an intensive 2-year transformational healing program with Maureen Goodhouse in Torrington, Connecticut. Through this program, she learned to strengthen her healing abilities to not only help others, but heal herself as well. Today, she is a practicing medium and uses her psychic and healing abilities in private and group settings. In addition to her day-to-day practice, she has facilitated countless workshops and programs to help people learn to connect to spirit. In recent years, she's evolved to become an angel practitioner, working very closely with the angelic realm. As a result, Sheri has developed her own healing practice called transitional healing, based on her close work with Archangel Metatron. This soon brought about Angel Speak, a gallery event where she connects and channels information from the angelic realm. Sheri offers psychic mediumship readings in a variety of settings, including in-person, group or gallery readings, workshops, telephone and Skype readings, and through guided meditation. With her healings, Sheri offers in-person sessions as well as long-distance healings and has worked with a variety of high-profile individuals in their own spiritual journey healing. In addition to all of her spiritual work with people, she's developed a specialty candle line, Angel Speak Candles, that she makes at home after extensive private sessions with the archangels. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Sheri Perbeck. Hi, everyone. Please join me in welcoming Sheri Perbeck. Hi, Sheri.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. I couldn't be happier myself. I feel giddy just being together with you, so thank you. In the introduction, I want to jump right to it. In the introduction, we heard a little bit about what you share on Facebook of how you came to work with celestial beings and particularly the angels. And your father was a huge influence for you, both in recognizing your gifts and then in influencing how you got into this work professionally.
Right.
My mind couldn't help going into wondering what you were like as a young girl that may have given him some clues to know that was the type of work he saw you doing. Can you share something that might have given him that idea?
Sure. When I was little, I had some experiences where I would see spirits, and I would go to my father and just, tell him what I saw. And, I just want to say that my father was very spiritual, and he had 5 kids, and I was the only girl of the 5. And so from a very early age, when I would see a spirit, of course, he would need to go into an explanation to what I saw, because I would be afraid. My first reaction would be fear, and he didn't want me to be fearful and knew that I didn't have anything to be afraid of. So he taught me, I think, all that he knew about God, and that was how he made reference to spirit, was using the word God. And so I, growing up, always had an interest in psychics and healers, and my father did too, as well. My father was a healer, absolutely. He didn't use that word per se, and he didn't, my father didn't go to church. He didn't have any kind of a classroom learning of spirituality. It was his own connection that he had with God. In fact, people from all over would just call him and ask him to pray for them. People that knew him knew that he was a natural healer, and he had a great connection to God. And so I think because of those experiences, and we were very close, and we were very much alike, very much alike. So I think once he crossed over, he knew I needed that help, and really, he couldn't have made it any more clear. I met more healers and psychics and mediums than I had ever in my whole life at that point. Till right after he passed, it was like a constant thing, and so I started to pay attention to it. But I'm sure he knew as I was growing up of my abilities, but until he had crossed over, knew the extent of it, and that I would bring me healing as well from his passing, which it has all through my life. It's been a healing experience. Everything that I do helps me in my own personal spiritual journey, definitely.
You work with helping clients heal through the angels and celestial beings also. Do you find that is a universal giving and receiving, that as we get help, we heal also? It's a give and take?
Oh, absolutely. It's quite amazing. In fact, it's a matter of seeing that, though.
How
It's
so?
knowing that. Well, when I do a reading for someone or a healing, I always look back on it and ask myself, what have I learned from my clients? And or to see the pattern, because there's always a pattern. And that is a clue for me as well, to know that there's something I may need to look at. I see everything that I do in my work and my life, my personal life, it's all about self-healing. All of it is self-healing. So it's paying attention to the fact that there is a purpose to every single thing that we are experiencing. When you put focus on it, it's huge. The healing that happens when you just give it that little bit of attention. But Spirit has taught me that we are in constant mirroring of each other. So, and it's funny, we, even when we get upset with each other, or there may be somebody that's irritating you, a lot of us have heard that there's something that's irritating you because you see yourself within them. And, that is also true in the positive aspect as well. It's, I feel as a healer, and that is one of the greatest things that I learned through my healing program, was there's a constant mirror. And working with Metatron, he's really taken me to another level with that recognition, is that how much of a mirror is going on constantly. So it is just a matter of giving it attention.
Now, you mentioned a couple things that not all listeners might have had the advantage of reading about. So I want to have a little more explanation about. You mentioned two specific things that I want, if you don't mind giving more detail on. The healing program that I think you're referring to, Maureen Goodhouse's healing program. Is that?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And
Right.
then
Yep.
if you could explain that, and then Angel Metatron, please.
Oh, okay. Okay. The healing program. Funny, after my father passed, maybe a couple of years after he passed, I went to get my teeth cleaned. And so I'm in the chair, and the hygienist is cleaning my teeth, and she said, I feel like I need to tell you something. And I said, okay, what is it? She said, there's a school that I just graduated from, and I feel like you need to go check it out. Maureen Goodhouse is the owner, and it's a healing program. And at that time, I had been going through Reiki certification. And so she told me a little bit about the program. So I felt like I needed to check it out. One, because she was giving me the message, and two, she explained to me that it would be a year program, and then could be 2-year or 3-year program. And I liked that aspect of it because I knew that I would need guidance on giving healings to other people, because I was still going through a healing process. And how would I heal other people when I knew I still had healing work myself?
Mm-hmm.
So I literally left there from getting my teeth cleaned and went and knocked on the door, and the owner was there. And so I learned 13 different types of hands-on healing. But I will tell you, more importantly, I learned how to heal myself. And it was the best thing I have ever done for myself, ever, was going through that program. Maureen Goodhouse is just an amazing soul, loving, gave great guidance, and it was just so profound to me, that program. And it was, it was certified through the state of Connecticut. I mean, it's a legit program. I should say it was, because Maureen has closed her school since she has retired. But it was very intense. We would meet 3 days in a row every 6-7 weeks, I think it was. And boy, we had to look at ourselves. And and I use the tools to this day still of the healing techniques for myself to keep myself on this spiritual journey of self-healing. Mm-hmm. But it was incredible. I have since started my own healing groups. I've actually been doing them for years. They actually put it on hold for the last 2 years because it's another, and by the way, I work with Metatron in the healing that I teach now, and it's called transitional healing. And I'm in the process of getting it trademarked. And so I'm waiting to hear, about that, and revamping the program to start it back up again.
Oh, good.
And, it may be a different type of healing than transformational that I went through, but it is all relative. Mm-hmm. But I still will teach some of the techniques that I was taught of the self-healing. Mm-hmm. And that is, the recognition of ourselves, learning about the characteristics of human, the 5 characteristics. And it's, I think Carolyn Mice has written a book on that as well, but there'll be more about that in the future. But it's not just about the hands-on learning, it's the self-learning as well. And in combination, it's life-changing.
And then Angel, is Metatron an archangel? Can you explain a little more about him?
Yeah.
He presents as a male, is that?
Yes, he does. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of. Now, when I see Metatron, he is like this huge gold copper-looking being. Excuse me. And he has 2 angels on each side of him that he shows up with. He is one of the highest orders, actually. They say he was a human in human form, known as Enoch. I believe he has his twin flame next to him, and Sandalphon. Mm-hmm. I've not communicated with either one of the other angels, but I do with Metatron. Incredible spiritual teacher, by the way. Mm-hmm. He's really incredible. He's taught me about the chakras more in depth and how they all have a story to tell. It just really has taken me to another level of connection when it comes to spirit during a healing. The We do work. We do some clearing of negative energy or stagnant energy from the body. The connection to spirit is stronger. Let's see. He's known to be a messenger, taking messages back to God for us. I've gotten a glimpse of him in physical form, believe it or not. He actually has brown skin. And you can call Metatron in really, I'll be honest with you, for anything. I mean, I was out jogging one day and I was up to the 2-mile mark and my breathing was very labored. I have allergies, and I called Metatron in and I said, I need you to help me with my breathing because I'm going to make that 2-mile mark.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in right away and I glanced over my shoulder and I saw his arm.
Mm.
And so though they may have their topics that they're good at, really it's building a relationship with them, and however that works for us, he will come in and he will help us. So he's pretty incredible, and I've received some healings, and my clients have received healings from or through Metatron. That you'll have experiences with the Kundalini. It's just another level of a healing. It's a feeling. It's the receiving of the energy can be really moving, very intense in a really blessed way, to where you may even take your breath away, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Transformative.
quite incredible.
Okay.
Yep. He has a big connection with the some past experiences with the Egyptians.
Ah, okay.
I've received information on different types of healings that have actually a lot to do with the star beings, because Metatron does have a lot to do with the star beings.
Okay. So, Sheri, as you and I are talking, it occurs to me there's this thought in the back of my head. We're having a conversation that I feel is very logical because you and I are on the same page. I'm aware that some of our listeners may not be on the same page as you and I are. And yet, I want to also say that there's actual research that has been brought forward that shows all of these things that we're saying does actually bear out in research if somebody feels the need to have that because they haven't personally experienced it. That's just not what this show is about. I just don't feel the need to scientifically validate it because I've had the blessing and luxury, I guess I'm grateful enough to call it, of having personal experiences. But I'm curious how you first knew you were communicating with angels. I mean, that first experience of, you said when you were a young child, you saw spirits. How did you know that was an angel the very first time he or she appeared to you?
Okay. It was Michael.
Ah,
And I had heard his voice in my ear a week prior to. And before even that experience, I felt very drawn to Archangel Michael. I just wanted to get to know him.
mm-hmm.
And I started to see purple with my eyes open, just purple lights and strips of light. I started receiving purple gifts just in the most unusual ways,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started acting as innocent as a child acts and started talking to him. And I didn't worry about it being a prayer or a special way. I would just say, Michael, I really want to get to know you. And So then I heard a man's voice in my ear. Like I said, it was just a hello, but I knew that it was real. And so a week went by, and I laid down on the couch, and I said, "Okay, Michael, I know that was you, and I've been getting the signs. I know that it's you. I want to communicate with you." So I must have fallen asleep, but when I woke up, there was this big white orb that came up over my head, went down all through my body, and I could see this with my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
But the vibration was intense, and my whole body was shaking, and my ear, in my right ear, popped as if I were in an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard Michael's voice. And it was so funny because he has a very deep voice, and he tried to soften his deep voice. And so, but number one, I want to say this to you. I, being the only girl of my four brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and an uncle was raised with us as well. So really, I was raised with five boys besides my dad. I had such enormous amount of fear because the TV was going to be put on a channel that the boys wanted. I was outnumbered, and so they were always watching something that brought fear to me. Okay, as a little girl, so I just had a lot of fear that I had to work through at that point. So when Michael came to me, as brave as I was asking for him to come on the couch, when he did come to that level, I was really, really afraid. So when he came to me, I said, it took me a while to even get the words out, hello, but I did. And I said, I'm afraid. Hello, but I'm afraid. Can you come back in the morning?
Mm.
And since I was a little girl, if my brothers put on a scary movie, right away I would be then too afraid to go to bed. So I would go get my pillow and I would lay down on the floor. And those goats that make themselves pass out real quick?
Yes.
I could do that. I could do that as a little girl. Literally, I could make myself pass out within seconds. And so even that night when Michael came to me, as soon as I asked him to come back, I went out of it. And to be honest with you, even growing up, when I would see spirits next to my bed,
Mm-hmm.
I would give them recognition. I would see them, but then I could make myself pass out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's what I did. And Michael did come back to me in the morning, and he was much more gentle. My body just had a little humor to it. I kept seeing the shades of purple colors. And with that, I learned then how I would then communicate with Michael. I still had such a great desire to want to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little bit mad at myself too the next morning, because I'd been asking for this and I got afraid. I let the fear get in my way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started, of course, then working through fear of all sorts. And I do accept who I am because Michael accepts who I am. And because of the desire that I have, I believe that's why I can work with these angels. And I am in acceptance of how I work. It's a It is a sort of a team effort, you know. But it's to know that I want to work with them to help other people. That's a big, big part of it.
Did he teach you how then? I know you said you learned how, but was he part of, I guess,
Oh, yes.
actively teaching, not you just learning through the experience, but was he acting as a teacher?
Oh, yes, both, actually, both.
Okay.
Absolutely both. Yes, I learned through my own experiences while he was working with me as a teacher. Absolutely, he's been my teacher.
Okay.
And he still is to this day.
Okay, interesting.
And I have to tell you, he is, of the people that I read, if somebody I meet for the first time who has stepped onto that spiritual journey, who does want to learn, Michael is usually the one that's showing up next to them,
Huh.
especially the mediums for some reason.
Huh.
And I will tell you what my theory is on that. One, he works to help you to change your perspective, number one, but number two, he's a protector, right? So
Right.
the more we raise our vibration, more and more people are more attracted to those of us. You know, when we talk about the light, and people see the light. Okay, so I feel like while we are also transitioning, we also need that protection. Okay, because we can be vulnerable at that point or that stage, and of working through the fear. And so he's great. I think that is why I see him quite often with those that are starting their spiritual journey or opening or recognize the mediumship skills.
Now you do a series of candles. You make Angel Speak candles.
Right.
Did he influence the creation of your candles?
Excuse me. I think they all absolutely did. But I will tell you this. I worked with a girl, Kimberly Kaufman, and it's important for me to give her the recognition to this because she kept actually getting the messages that I should be making candles,
Ah.
really. And she even helped me with the prayers.
Oh.
And so I would sit with her and tell her about the angel. And the main prayer did come from the angels. That is on they are on all the candles, but Kimberly had a big part in this. So do I think the angels were trying to give me that message? Yes. Was I getting it? Probably not, because of my stubborn humanness. But Kimberly was a big influence when it came to that, you know.
Yeah.
But the angels love the work that we are doing with the candles because it is bringing these angels into people's homes. Now, do they need a candle for that to happen? No. But some of us do need that, something very physical to get us started, you know. And the angels they're all over the United States now, and I'm grateful, and they are too, because, you know, I have people that email me and message me and tell me, since they've been working with the angels, how much their lives have changed. And that just couldn't be any greater. Couldn't be any greater.
Are you, how do you teach others to work with the angels? Talk about how you teach others to do that.
Okay. Well, there's 3 topics that I teach. I help people to learn about the ego, more than anything to recognize how important it is to recognize that we have an ego. The ego, the higher self, and the imagination. And those 3 topics I feel came to me from Spirit years ago. I asked Spirit, what is it that I should be teaching these people? And it was during an intuitive class. And I have been working with those 3 topics with people ever since. So let's bring up imagination. That is so absolutely huge because my creativity, my imagination, to me, it's how God talks through us anyways, through our imagination. But let's say these angels work with me through who I am and what my life experiences and how I use my imagination. Okay, so the greater the acceptance of the imagination, the greater the messages are. Well, really, not so much it's more the greater the experiences with these angels. Okay, so they can come through to me with more clarity. The greater the acceptance of. Let's see. For me, anything that is out of this physical realm is so incredible and magical that we couldn't even make up anything that could touch the greatness of it. Okay, so if I say, okay, now some people will say, okay, give me a prayer. Well, how can I invoke the angels? And I say, well, how creative are you? How playful are you? If I tell you to act like a 10-year-old for the rest of the day, are you going to have a hard time with that, or are you going to accept that? Now, if you tell me I might have a hard time with that, then I would tell you, then play with the inner child first and get in touch with your imagination, because these messages that come from these angels sometimes are very simple, very innocent, very childlike, but it's all in the power of healing. That's where it's at. I used to say to the angels when I started Angel Speak, give me something that is life-changing for these people, thinking that I would get this like life-changing message for them, right? And they would say, we are giving you life-changing messages for the people. And then they would give me a message of literally say to somebody, you need to get more creative. You need to get a coloring book or start drawing or do some crafts. And I would say to the angels, you really want me to tell them that to get more creative? That's the life-changing news? And they said yes. And I have to give what they get. And I've seen people change. I've seen them grow. I've seen them turn into, I don't see dead people, to I see dead people, or just happier lives with those kind of messages, because we as humans, because of the ego, expect that there's something greater, like something's supposed to walk into our life and change tomorrow overnight, when it really literally is already right here. It's just turning inward, changing our perspective, and seeing that. Like, let me give you, for instance, I told a woman a couple weeks ago to go buy some flowers. Okay. Now, she's got 4 children, and she's a stay-at-home mom right now. That's what she needs to do. And so she feels that she's having a hard time connecting to spirit with all the sometimes the craziness in the house, and the screaming and all of that. And so the angel told her to go get a plant and to start gardening. Creativity. Start creating. Like literally they showed me like this old tire. People years ago used to get old tires and make a plant pot out of it.
Yeah.
They used my shorthand to give her this visual. Okay. So she couldn't come up with an excuse that she couldn't afford. See, they were being real creative. Like you can make a garden anywhere.
Very
and
practical.
that would bring, right. So that would bring her peace. If she can't go anywhere, she can at least go outside, right? And the kids probably follow her out there. But if that is her existence, there is always a way to find the connection to spirits around all the time. She doesn't have to go into a full-blown meditation to connect.
Yeah.
So,
do you have, I want to get a couple of questions in for sure before we need to close. And one is whether you have any practices that you make sure you include in your daily life.
I do. And it is, for me, it's the breathing. I make sure I do my 3 deep breaths. It quiets the mind. It moves the ego out. Gets rid of the monkey mind. Um, uh, and the reason I do that is it helps me to recognize, am I living my life today? It's more about the today. The breathing is putting me in the now,
Mhm.
and it puts me into control of what's going on up here.
Mhm.
Is it a positive thought? Is it a negative thought? Is ego present, or is it my higher form here today? And that is a daily thing for me. It's daily, because it can just take over.
Mhm.
Our thoughts are created somewhere out there, and if I want my day to be filled with happiness and joy and positive experiences, they don't have to be life-changing experiences. I just want my day to be, um, I want to enjoy my day.
Mhm.
And it's a simple act, and that is an act of being grounded and being present. Mhm.
Mhm. Um, and I know you shared that you first saw spirits and then you began talking with angels. And then you also said star beings. Do you communicate with other beings
I
as
do.
well? Yeah.
I do. And I'll have to tell you, for years, they they've been popping in and out. Okay, so um, you know, I have to tell you that we have been like Metatron, many forms, right? A lot of us believe in reincarnation and lives in between lives, and so one of the things that the angels have taught me is that this very topic. So with that said, um, I work, well, every now and then I will see Fletcher, and he is a star being, and he is one of the celestial white beings. Okay, so in other words, he's another being, just like I am, and you are, and the angels are, and the fairies are. Okay, even the fairies are from another planet. Okay, so they are also star beings, right? They just seem to be a little more accepting or than, let's say, the word alien, which they don't like to be called aliens, by the way.
Who would?
I know. Yeah, right? It's terrible. Yeah. Um, so actually, Fletcher, for me, has come in the healings. In fact, when I first met him, I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "You've been calling in on us." And I call in the Christ consciousness, and he's all
Mhm.
about the Christ consciousness. So I have to tell you, there's so many people who are coming in. I work out of a metaphysical store here in Wilmington,
Mhm.
who are coming in and they're saying, "We need to talk," because they are our family. They really are, just as these angels are.
You know what I've been curious about, Sherry, is whether what we've been missing isn't their presence. I mean, yes, we may have been missing their presence from a heart sense, but what we've been lacking is perhaps a better way to say it is the terminology for all of it, that
Right.
we haven't known how to capture it in words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. But the other thing is that we don't understand is really that we have been many experiences. We have been many things.
Hmm.
Okay. So it's like, um, gosh, you know, we we know, where we talk and have been for many years, about the oneness. Okay. So this is like another level of that.
Hmm.
It's solidifying it in the physical form. Okay. That, um, and I may sound like I am going off topic here, but I'm trying to explain this as best as I can. Okay, so I may see Fletcher as a celestial white being, right?
Hmm.
So I can then see Fletcher tomorrow in angel form. I think that we are all gaining more knowledge about them is because we are gaining knowledge about ourselves.
Hmm. I understand what you're saying. I do. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're seeing different realities of our experiences at different times, also, I believe. Is that
Yeah.
part of what you're saying
Oh,
too?
absolutely. Yes, that is huge. Yep.
Yeah. On that, which I feel that's very optimistic because additional knowledge gives us more to work with for positive growth and evolution on a global and beyond perspective
Yeah.
for healing and transformation.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Because, look at, we can choose to just believe that we are who we are right here, sitting here right now, right? Just this human,
Right.
and that we have no other knowledge, no other experiences, which is like so sad, right?
It is.
Um,
The minute you said it, it was I almost got depressed, just the thought of it.
yeah,
Mhm,
I know it, right?
mhm.
So I want to say this to you. One of the another spirit that I first met right at the very beginning was um, uh, Danu, the Celtic goddess Danu. Who,
Oh.
yep. Now I'm going to say this to you. This is not just me saying this. I mean this for everybody. But um, I feel like I am a piece of Danu.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
But don't get me wrong, I'm not walking around telling anybody I am the new incarnation, okay? I don't do that. But they do want us to know that we are a piece of them as well. That's the point, I think, okay? Um, it's just the acceptance of it, and then the um, it's a growth process, okay?
Mhm,
So I do feel that we are getting ready to gain lots of knowledge.
mhm,
We do talk about our vibration changing, us moving into the fourth dimension. All of this is going to help us move into the fourth dimension.
mhm.
Um, Somehow it's memory coming back to all of us,
Mhm.
some of our past life experiences, which really isn't anything that's really past. Everything is actually happening at the same time. That's just how incredible we all are,
Right.
and these beings, right? But know that we are an extension of them.
Yeah. And what I think is new, at least from a more collective experience, is the memory of it. More and more people having the memory of it
Right.
is how I look at it. And perhaps it was always a knowledge that um, a certain number of people had, but I am hearing more people share that amount of knowledge. It's hard to
Huge.
think of
Yeah.
the words to capture it, really.
It really, really is. We're having a group here at Mystic Elements um, June 1st on this very topic about the
Ah,
celestial beings. And we have people coming in. We have a young man coming in who's young. He's 18 years old, 19 years old, who has been communicating with the star beings since he was 3 years old.
interesting.
Phenomenal experience that he's going to be sharing, which is going to be life changing. One, for him, that he has an
Mhm.
audience that's going to understand what he's talking about, and for those that do have the remembrance, who never forgot. I mean, as innocent 3 year old has been talking to these beings. And so um, I am really excited about this, that this has come out, because look, think about this. Me, I'm doing a healing, and
Mhm.
I see a celestial, this being walk in,
Mhm.
and I say to him, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "You called us in." Why? Because you were calling the Christ consciousness in. It's like,
Mhm.
wow, that's huge.
Yeah,
You know, that shows the help and the love that we have around us all.
yeah. Embodied. It was always there, and yet here it is
Yeah,
embodied. Yeah.
right, 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 right. So, thank you
Okay.
for bringing that up here
Oh,
in your show. I mean, because it really is needed to be talked about.
Well, I'm excited about it. I am. And there's so many more questions I want, let's keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think is ahead for you? What would you
Hmm.
like to see in your work?
Well, great question. Nobody's ever asked me that.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to live my life through my highest passion. Like everybody else, I've been on this healing path. I've been working on healing myself and continue to do that. Um, I really want Angel Speak to grow. And I want to teach. I want to teach people how easy it is to change your life, and that we actually have a say about it. And that's where I see myself going, larger groups, whether that's radio or TV. But I want to teach. I want there to be, and there is. I mean, thank you for having me on today, because um, we grab a handful of people that know that they can change their lives, um, not just emotionally, but physically,
mhm,
even healing the physical body
mhm.
through working through your emotions. I mean, it's absolutely huge, and we can do it by changing our perspective. So um, uh, it's where I see myself just working, maybe in larger groups, or um, teaching, just growing, teaching.
That's really great. Well, we'll have all your contact information in the links in the show notes and on YouTube and everything, so everyone can reach you and get a hold of you through
Sure.
my website and all the promotion and everything. So please reach
Thank
out
you.
to Sherry.
Thank you so much. I just
My
love you.
pleasure. You too, Sherry, and we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Okay. Take care.
Bye for now.